Welcome to Aunt Mazie's kitchen. Today I'm making for you a rich fruit cake. Now I'd like you to stay with me in the kitchen, and we are working together as a team, and together we are making it a rich fruit cake. Okay. So here the cake I'm making, you will use a 10-inch baking pan. What are the ingredients? I start by using 1 cup sugar, and I'm using 1 cup of butter. Now, maybe you don't want to use all butter. You could use half butter, so 1/4 pound of butter and 1/4 pound of margarine. You could combine that. Then, so we are creaming that together for about 30 minutes. Don't worry to speed it up with any high speed. So here we have the cake mixer. And sometimes people like to run shortcut. There's no shortcut in making this rich fruit cake. So we put the butter and we put the butter and the sugar in this mixer, and we creamed them together for about 30 minutes. And the mixture now is very light and very creamy. At the end of the cream time, you will realize that the sugar granules are more or less dissolved. If you do a shortcut, when you are finished baking, you'll see some mottling over the surface of the cake. And if you're a student, the teacher will know that you're on some shortcut there. Cream it until the mixture is light and fluffy and very creamy. And now we are going to, and I should tell you, if you are using a mixer, you cream using speed 2. When you start adding the eggs, we are adding the eggs one at a time. I am using 5 eggs here. I'm using 1, adding them, 2, okay, we'll make up for the others. So we are folding in or beating in the eggs, and we break them one at a time. So we add the egg. You and I know it's a safety feature. We add the eggs, we break the eggs one at a time. We can add another egg. Right. So we can actually turn off turn off the mixer. We have the bowl here, and we are going to transfer the mixture from the pan to this mixing bowl. The mixture is light and very creamy. Are you seeing the mixture? Yes, light and very creamy. Get this out of the way. Then we are going to combine all the dry ingredients. And no, I'm moving a little fast here. Let me step backwards. Now that we have added the egg, blunders happen in everybody's kitchen. We are adding the lime rind. And we use a green lime, but either green or ripe you can use. And we also have some lime juice. The lime rind and lime juice add a beautiful flavor. And we're just using like a tablespoon. Yes. Remember, it gives a beautiful flavor. We are adding or we are combining the dry ingredients. And what are these dry ingredients? Here I am using 1.5 cups of flour. How much flour am I using? Yes, 1.5 cups of flour. To that, I am using a cup of breadcrumbs, freshly grated nutmeg, and that's about a tablespoon. I'm using 1.5 teaspoons baking powder. And remember, I want to remind you that as soon as you're finished opening the package that the baking powder comes in, you have to close it, because if it is left open, air gets in and the baking powder begins to lose its strength. So here, flour, breadcrumbs, nutmeg, baking powder. Yes, and we mix that together for even distribution. The dry mix. We have some other ingredients to mix together. We are using a total, for this mixture, I'm using a total of 1.5 pounds of soaked fruits. Some of the fruits we have blended. Some of the fruits we have left whole. We want to have a lovely texture in the pudding. So for the fruits for this cake, here I have a mixture of 1.5 pounds of soaked fruits. These were blended. And then recently, you see, I added about a cup or a half cup of the raisins in whole. They were soaked, and I added those whole. But this is mixed peel. We want to grind this. We don't want to give you these to bite on in your cake. So you could grind this with a little water, or you could use some wine. So we combine the fruits. And we have to go back to the dry ingredients. Remember, we are using 1.5 cups of flour, a cup of breadcrumbs. We left out the cinnamon powder. So we combine that, get them out the way. So here we have all the dry ingredients. Here we have the fruits that are soaked. If the fruits were not soaked, when they were mixed into the batter, the raisins would become very plump and juicy, succulent they would look. But you would end up with a cake that's very dry. And when you cut the cake, the raisins will just fall out very easily. So remember, it is important to either store long term, allow it to rehydrate, or steam them and allow them to cool. So we are going to add the dry mixture, and I'm going to give you an idea. I sort of add the liquid, why am I saying this? Come again. I'll add the dry mixture in about 3 parts, and I divide the fruits in about 2 parts. So I start with flour and end with flour. But you will admit we would need some liquid. I am using 1 cup of orange juice. Didn't have orange juice, you would use water. I would not want you to use milk. Simply, milk, it would not allow a long storage time, a long keeping time. So water or orange juice would do perfectly well. Here I have a cup of orange juice, and I'm going to add this to the mixture, but if you don't have any orange juice, don't you worry. Water will do a good job. To the orange juice, I'm adding vanilla. I'm adding some almond essence. Not a must. We can add the browning here, or we could add it here. And this is 2 tablespoons of browning. I should also tell you that The amount of browning that you add is one of taste. Some of us like our cake pretty dark. Some of us like it like a lighter color. Remember though that in the baking process, colors will develop. So you might end up with something a little darker than you expect. So watch the amount that you use. So we are going to combine these ingredients. And here I have about a 1/4 teaspoon of anise essence and some rose water, just about a half teaspoon. Get these out of the way. Now we are going to do the grand mix. Now it happens in everybody's kitchen, don't you worry. So we're adding some of the dry mixture. You could sift it in, but remember this was sifted ahead of time. So we have added the first portion of the dry mix, and I'm folding in this flour mixture. I am mixing in some of the fruits. I'm mixing in about a half of the fruits. I'm adding in some flour. I am adding the mixture of orange juice, the brown and the vanilla, the liquid ingredients. And we are mixing this in. Next, we are going to add the remainder of the fruits and then the rest of the flour, or the rest of the flour mixture. Wow. Right. Mix this in. Cut and fold motion, that's what we're using. And we are adding the remainder of the dry ingredients. The flour, the breadcrumbs, the baking powder, and the cinnamon all mixed together. And fold in. So we mix, and I think you will like this color. Are you agreeing with me? Yes, this is not too dark, but like I said before, there's nothing wrong if it's darker than this. It's just one of your choice. We don't want to overmix. We just want to cut and to fold the mixture. See? This is the finished product. We are now ready to scrape this batter in a greased and lined cake tin. Here is my greased and lined cake tin. I'm using wax paper here, and if you have brown paper, you could also use that. If you don't have any of those, you could use aluminum foil also. So we scrape the batter. We can't afford to let any be left in the bowl. And I don't know if especially for the younger persons among us, I don't know if you were accustomed to watching your mother or grandmother prepare the Christmas or the rich fruit cake, and you are given a bowl, if you were able to help, you are given a bowl that had some butter that you could wipe out, eh? Right. I used to do that with my grandmother. Get this out of the way. We are going to clean up the pan, the edge of the pan, and we are going to put this to bake in a preheated oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I also like to put a container in the oven with water. I find it helps to control the oven temperature. So see, open the oven is hot. We will put it, I'm putting it on the upper shelf. You see, hot air rises. Any shelf may be used, you know, but that's my choice here. And here I have a container with some water, and it helps to control what we call flash heat. It helps to guarantee that you end up with a really nice, rich fruit cake. Oh no. Now, I know you couldn't wait for this cake to bake. You want to see it and you want to maybe even taste it. Am I right? Yes, I believe you want to taste it. Let me clean up this cutting board, and I am coming back to you. At the end of an hour and 15 minutes, sometimes an hour and 30 minutes, depending on the oven temperature, you will have a cake that looks like this. So we can remove the grease paper, and there's a sheet at the base. Yes, we can remove that too. So you'd leave the cake to cool, and then we like to moist the cake. I have a half cup of wine, and to that I'm adding 2 tablespoons of strong. I'm adding white rum, but it's not a must that you use it. You understand? And we will use this liquid to wet the cake. Then we can wrap it and we can leave it for a while. It will keep for a while. Mm-hmm. Wow, yes. And the cake is ready to be served. Would you like peas? Yes, I believe you would like peas. So we allow this liquid to seep into the cake. We'll cut. And the cake is ready to be served. I'd like you to look at the texture. Remember now, we worked together as a team when we made this cake. We started by using butter and sugar that we creamed together until the mixture was light and very fluffy. Then we beat in the eggs one at a time. We made a mix of the dry ingredients, the flour, the breadcrumbs, the cinnamon powder, and the raising agent, baking powder. We mixed that together for even distribution. We combined the blended fruits. And remember, for the mixed peel, that was blended smooth because we didn't want to want flavor. We didn't want to bite on any piece of mixed fruit. And we used some orange juice. You never had to use orange juice. You could use a cup of water. So we creamed together the butter and the sugar. Then we beat in the eggs, and we fold in the flour alternately with the fruits. We spoke about the coloring. We used browning, food browning that is. And we used about 2 tablespoons, but the amount that you use is one of your own taste. And then remember, there are different concentration levels of browning. Some are thin and some are thicker, more concentrated. We placed the batter in a greased and lined cake tin, and we baked for about an hour and 15 minutes, maybe a little more, not much. Then we removed it from the oven and put it to cool. We added some more flavors, some wine, and if you wish, some strong to help to moisten the cake. Then we would wrap and put away, or your friends may be waiting to be served. Friends or family, that is, so we'll be ready to serve. We hope that we were able to share with you in some small way. If you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, let us know too, because we learn from any errors that we may make along the way. Thanks so much for spending time with me in Aunt Mazie's kitchen.